Hello and welcome, I'm Raziel, and I love skirmish games. I've always loved the small skirmish games because they're easy to collect for, they're cheap to collect for, and you can tell a good fun story with them. And this goes with Vanguard, Necromunda, and especially Wild West Exodus. I love Wild West Exodus the most because there's so many named characters that you can use inside the game, including, historical figures, which is always cool to use. Now, I was thinking, because there is a way you can make Wild West Exodus into a largest game, on par with something the size of Warhammer 40,000, but obviously not 2,000 million points and 1,000 foot sloggers. But you can with certain factions, and the first one I want to start with is of course the Union, because this is what I'm building myself. And rather than talk about meta and everything else, well, use these because he's really strong, I'm going to go through what I'm doing to build my force. This is a first video. I'm going to start showing off models that I've painted, etc, for this once a month when I got it. I've got the pieces and I've got all the stuff and they're painted up, and then I can continue doing this. Now, one thing I was thinking before I was starting this is that should I get the Showdown at Retribution box? It is a good box. It's fantastic if you're doing Union or the Enlightened, but I actually didn't want to use Nikola Tesla in this. I know it sounds silly, or Union Bell. I already had a HQ and command squad in my head, which I wanted to use first, and that is Abraham Lincoln and his Secret Service. And though I was pretty silly because I should have actually gone No Surrender first for what I'm doing, but I did want Abraham Lincoln as my leader because he is the director of the Secret Service and he is in charge of the Union not technically properly, but he should have gone No Surrender first. But we'll get to the Secret Service one second, but I'll go through what I'm doing next and how it's going to build a fully functioning force. That's a tongue twister and a half. First, I'm going to get my next box is No Surrender. No Surrender is a fantastic box because you get so much in it. You get Odysseus Grant, who is a fantastic character. His lore is really good, by the way. He is such an empathetic. Look, you can really feel sorry for this guy. This guy is so severely burned in, and all these scars were what killed his family because these bandits burnt down his house and his whole family was killed, and he got away with all his scars. It also makes him really destructive. Like, he wiped out a lot of Richmond to end a war. You got Alfred Woodhouse, William Sherman, Bernard Hopkins, 2 Union with a Liberty Gatling gun, and 1 Union trooper with a Gallon rocket powered. So it's a good decent box there. So why the support? Why the No Surrender? Because the No Surrender detachment is great to begin this, because you must include Odysseus Grant and you must include Alfred Woodhouse. You must include 2 units with the Union and Human traits, and you may include 2 units with the Union trait. You may include up to a further 3 units with all 3 of the following traits: Union, Human, and Troops. Okay? So straight away you actually have one of those used up. You have the 2 Union and Human traits because you have the characters Bernard Hopkins and Bernard Shaw? Sorry, I've completely forgotten his name. William Sherman. Right, so that is your Union Human uses. Okay, those 2. You don't have to use these named characters, by the way, just so you know. You don't actually have to do it. You have to actually use those with the Union and Human traits. So you don't have to use Bernard Hopkins or William Shaw. But, they are pretty cool characters, and if you want to go for a more posse look, that's what I would go with. However, we're doing a basic force. I would probably not include them in this. I'll get the models because if I wanted to play a small skirmish game, more of a narrative game, I can use the No Surrender detachment and use it as is. But this is about building a big army, not a small posse. And they are pretty fun characters to use. So you have your fire team, which is, the Gatling gun team. Next, I would get some riflemen. Riflemen are pretty cool as well. Riflemen are a nice, handy thing to get. You get in your box of riflemen and armored, you get 5 of each, and I get 2 boxes of these. So you'd have your 3 human, union, and troops used up. You get your 2nd union and human trait. So you have now, with your no surrender box, your 2 rifleman boxes, you have Odysseus Grant, Alfred Woodhouse, you have your 2 union and human traits, and you have, because I wouldn't use the rocket pod, because he's on his own, again this is something I use for a skirmish, and then you'd also have your further 3 units with your union and human troops. So there you go. So you've got most of your detachment now used up. You also have 29 models infantry. So your next 2 units, which I'll be getting, would be your Iron Horses, or Iron Eagles, and Tesla Bots. Tesla Bots because they look cool, and Iron Eagles because some fast attack and some heavier support. So now you've got a very much centered army. You have a nice block of infantry there, a couple of HQs, and plenty of firepower. Next would be the Secret Service detachment. Secret Service detachment I'm going to use as my HQ squad. You have Abraham Lincoln, because he's fantastic, and then you have all his named characters to go with him. You don't actually have to have all the named characters. You just have to have. You must have 2 units with both Union and Agent trait. You may have an additional with the Agent trait, and a further 3 with both Union and Agent traits. So you've got them all together. But I could also include 2 units with Union and Automata traits, which means I could actually include 2 more squads of Tesla bots. But I'm not. I'm keeping that detachment as it is in the box, because that's exactly what I need it for. It's a nice little secret, nice little HQ command squad. Because what's good about the Secret Service detachment is I don't have to use the undercover rule, which is fantastic. And once per round, a single unit in its detachment may re-roll the dice in the player's check, even if successful. You may not re-roll the part of a check or player's unit using it. So, you get at least a free re-roll as well. Now, what's an army without a vehicle? Because you do need vehicles. And the thing is, I'll be honest with you, this is going to be a bit of contention here, because the model I'm going to suggest is slightly bigger than the one that was made for Wild West Exodus back in 2014, and that is the Ironhide. And it's a good vehicle. I don't know what to say. But it's going to be under the Union faction detachment, where I must include 1 commander unit with the Union trait, which is so cool because there's so many you can have with that. I'm going to be using Theodore Roosevelt, which is a brevet commander. For 1 plus point, this unit may replace its phase trait for a commander trait, and is now considered. So basically, it's going to be 16 points instead of 15. And he gains +1 fortune and the command rule. As a commander, this unit may lead a faction detachment. As normal, this unit's fortune cannot be used by another unit with a commander or boss trait. So yeah, so I can include him, which I am going to, into this. But now I need to include the extra bits, which is I must have a unit with the Union and Troops trait, and I may have to include 3 further units with a Union and Union trait. However, I cannot take more than 1 of any unit. So, if I was to buy, let's say, 2 boxes of the Riflemen again, I can only use 1 box, because I would have to make them up to. I can only use 6 of each, which would leave me 8 left, because I cannot use them as well. So, what would I do? Buy 1 of those boxes, which now gives me 2 more units, 1 of Armoured Riflemen and 1 of Armoured Guard, and I would go ahead, and this is, like I said, this bit of contention here, and go to Mantic, because I think this is the closest, because, like I said, the Ironhide is no longer made, and I do want to use an Ironhide in this army, and I'd get the Mule, the GCPS Mule, the GCPS one, by the way, not, and I would convert this as well. I'd have to convert it, take the back off, and have it like that. That's how I'd build it, and add some extra sort of cowboy bits to it. And that would be how I would do with my faction, and that was it. So there's many units in here. I have a range, I have a solid block of infantry, I have a HQ squad, which is solid, as I know. Several commanders to lead my army, fast attack, some heavy support. So everyone's there just to have a decent force. Anyway, thank you very much for watching on how I would build a Union army for Wild West Exodus and actually have an army, not a posse. And I hope to see you enjoy me showing off the models. It was all going to be in the community tab. I'm going to constantly just post them there so you can see them as they're made and built. And I'll see you all again soon. I would also like to give a quick shout out to Speed Demon Painting if you want to look up some more news and Dystopian Wars army building and rules and everything else. I'd go there. And Markov Dossier as well. They gave me a shout out. They showed some of my models off, which was fantastic. So check them out as well for some podcasts. Thank you very much for watching. Link to Wayland Games. If you want to try Wild West Exodus, links down there. Honestly, give it a go. It's a fantastic game. The rules are free. And new models are great. That's all you need to know. And of course, I've got my comic, my merchandise as well. That's down below as well. All the art and drawing and writing is by me. As Forbidden Planet and Patreon. But as always, please, just don't just give me money. If you're thinking about helping the channel, go to one of the links. Treat yourself, because we both benefit that way. And well, I won't say no to free money. I'd rather you treat yourself first. Thank you very much for watching. Have a great day.